All right, good morning, y'all. It's almost 5 a.m., up nice and early this morning. And today I want to talk about the fourth quarter sales and kind of where we're at, what I'm seeing in the furniture industry right now. Specifically, I guess since I'm in the newly made furniture and also the vintage furniture space, I got a lot of good anecdotes for people based on what I'm seeing. And we can talk about several things. I'll talk about the entire sales cycle for the year when it comes to selling vintage furniture, when it comes to flipping furniture, when it comes to making new furniture. I'll talk about smalls, lamps, things like that, vintage, hardware. Talk about all that kind of stuff. I'm going to talk about where I think sales are going in 2025 and kind of what I see going on in this industry that we're in, which is furniture, right? So there's not a lot of people talking about the furniture game right now that actually are in it, right? It seems to be like most people that talk about this kind of stuff, there's either some kind of analyst working for a company that analyzes businesses and companies, things like that. You very rarely hear someone that actually is in the industry, that owns a company, also works in their company, actually makes things, does all kinds of work, talk about what's going on in this industry. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do today, and I hope to give you some good information. I'm going to use my Resplendent Crow, Resplendent Home, like I always do. I've got a bunch of pieces of furniture I want to show you because I want to be able to show you exactly what is selling. Okay, I want you guys to see the price points that this stuff is selling and exactly what it is that we're hunting for when we're looking for vintage furniture. And hopefully you can use some of this information to start a company in 2025, to help you grow a company, or whatever, get out of the rat race and start doing this stuff for yourself. Because it's honestly, it's a shit ton of work, but it's better than working for somebody else. Like, I would trade this all day long. My entire life, I've worked in aerospace for the most part, and I've always worked at least 60 hours a week, and it's given me a fantastic middle-class living. But I've definitely had to bust my ass to do it, and I don't regret any of it. But I've been business owner full-time now for like 8 years at this point, and I work 70 to 80 hours a week now, but I love it. I don't want to do anything. I want to die doing this because it's just what I love to do. I'm not one of these people that wants to go on vacation all the time. I'm not one of these people that needs a ton of stuff to be fulfilled, family, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm just not wired that way. I know a lot of people are, but anyway, I'm going to use this. I'm going to give you a bunch of information, and hopefully you can use some of this. And I'll keep putting out these videos because I think they're important. I get a lot of good feedback from them. So okay, so we're going to start with fourth quarter sales, right? So it's mid-December at this point, and we're getting towards the end of the year. And what I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing a lot more interest than I normally see this time of year. Okay, the way the sales cycle works is generally, if we start at the beginning of the year, start January starts to pick up in the middle of the month, right? And then we'll be busy till about end of May, middle of June is the first sales cycle, okay? And it ramps up into February. February is generally very busy. March is very busy. April kind of, could be an iffy month. May is generally very busy, and then it tapers off, right? And why is this? Okay, this is because the people that generally buy from the Resplendent Crow are wealthier people. These are people that have disposable income. This could be housewives, their husbands work, whatever, and if you look at when the kids are in school, generally that's when we're selling. When the kids are out of school, we're not selling because, people are going on vacation, right? The other sales cycle is going to be, July, August slows down because obviously there's summer break, and then it starts to pick back up in September. Now, September can be very volatile, to be quite honest. October is generally very good. It's a fantastic month. And then into November, generally you get busy mid-November. It'll stay busy, but then it starts to taper off moving into December. Now, the reason things pick up so much in September and October is obviously the kids are back in school, but more importantly, you have the holidays coming up. And people that are in our price range, our client base, generally entertain. People are coming to their houses for the holidays, right? You're not going to the middle-class guy's house. You're going to the people that make the money. They decorate. They want to show off their homes. They have lots of space. It's generally going to be the older people in the family who have more time to make money, right? To build up their wealth, to have nicer things, and that's just the reality of the Resplendent Crow's client base. Now, that sales cycle generally tapers off. I mean, it should have tapered off weeks ago. but it hasn't. And in fact, it's accelerating, which is not normal. We've seen it before. Like during COVID, there was no slow month at all. It was just balls to the wall every single month of the year. You couldn't, like I said, you couldn't find enough people to make furniture. You couldn't find enough furniture, vintage furniture to sell. You couldn't. You could not satiate the demand. It was just crazy. Anyway, so that's kind of the sales cycle, and we're starting to see things are actually picking up, which again for us is not normal, but we're going to take it, right? So what are we doing right now? So I'm going to show you guys every one of my revenue streams and what I'm selling and what we're seeing with each of our main revenue streams. Okay. Now I got a little script here. So I've got basically 5 revenue streams here at the Resplendent Crow that we kind of work with. Okay. So the first one is vintage. The next one is going to be your newly made stuff, the furniture that we make here in-house in St. Louis. And then I have custom furniture, which custom is, yes, it's newly made, but it's a completely different animal because it's not based on existing engineering, right? It's not based on existing kits of parts that I could have cut on a CNC router if I wanted. There's no tooling. There's no anything generally. I also have hardware. We sell a ton of hardware. That's another revenue stream. And then we have what are called smalls, right? These are going to be things like lamps and artwork and shelves and shades and things of that nature. Okay, tchotchkes, that's a great word. Anyway, so what we're seeing right now in terms of what's going on in sales in November, December. So vintage is actually up. Okay, and what we did is we decided in October that we were going to increase our vintage offerings, which is not something we normally do because the vintage demand over the years has actually kind of tapered off a little bit. It's still there, don't get me wrong. But one of the things that happened in the vintage space is due to COVID, everyone and their brother became a furniture flipper, right? They became a lacquer, they painted furniture, they refinished furniture, they did everything with furniture because everyone was stuck in their house. Everyone, people got this wild idea that they were going to, work from home. They were going to do all this kind of stuff, and they were going to increase their spaces, and they were going to, beautify their spaces, make them more efficient, usable, blah, 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 blah. And turns out that like many things, didn't last. Okay, so now I said this in a previous post. I think I was paying, $1,000 for certain kinds of dressers, so whereas now I'm back to paying like $150, which is how it should have been, and how I started out doing this. Was making a ton of money on vintage furniture because it was so cheap to procure. And then again, COVID just ruined all of that, but now it's starting to come back, which is nice. So what I've done over here, and I'll go to so one of the things we've done is we've started to offer more vintage furniture because we're just seeing an uptick in demand, right? And we're seeing a lot of colors that people are wanting specifically. So what we've done is we've really pushed hard on the labor side to push out more furniture. We've had our shippers picking up more furniture throughout the country that we believe is going to sell. So you can see we've got this vintage 9-drawer dresser. We've added this 5-drawer curved sideboard. This thing is really beautiful. This is obviously newly made. We've just brought in tons of new stuff. I love this Baker 12-drawer dresser. And we've just been painting these colors that are selling really well. Now, this 100-drawer dresser, this is actually an old picture from I want to say this is probably from 2016, maybe. I mean, it's an old one, but we've had this piece in so many times. We just reuse our old pictures sometimes, if we have a really good one, because we have the piece in stock. It's just not painted. So we'll just use an old picture. And that's one of the things that we do so that we don't have to constantly paint, take pictures, it's not necessary. So anyway, we've brought in some more pieces and painted a lot more furniture so that we have stuff that's ready to ship for our clients, because sometimes they don't want to wait. They just want to pick something, they like the color, and they can get it, in a week or two, depending on when we have shippers going to wherever they are in the country. Okay. So vintage sales are definitely picking up. I've bought more vintage furniture in the last 2 months than I've bought in the entire year because of the demand we're seeing, which is fantastic. Okay. So next thing is going to be our newly made furniture. Okay. So I have been selling newly made furniture, but nothing like I've been selling custom furniture. And I don't know what the hell's going on. Truth is over the last 3 years, I have grown my newly made furniture at an amazing rate. newly made furniture eclipsed vintage furniture years ago because that's just what people wanted. So I was making gobs of new furniture for people with our new furniture lines, like our Savannah, our Athens, and Harrison. All these lines of furniture, I developed all these just because that's what everyone wanted to buy. I don't know why, but everyone just suddenly decided they wanted to buy, these Emily dressers, and they wanted to buy this Emily Tallboy got real popular. I mean, this is just what people wanted, and they wanted to buy our Zanes, right? Like I've talked about it before. This is the number one selling piece of furniture that I have. I sell anywhere from 50 to 75 of these pieces a year, and it's fantastic because they're easy to make, and the profit margin is insane. So anyway, I don't understand what was going on there, but the sales have been awesome on newly made furniture, but they're tapering off, right? But it's being replaced with custom made furniture, which is what I'm going to talk about now. So I don't have a picture of the work orders right here, but presently I have work orders. I have custom nightstands going to designers. I have a pair of custom nightstands I'm going to a designer. Right behind that, I've got a pair of pagoda china cabinets, right? And I think I showed these pagoda china cabinets in my last video. This would be, I believe it's in it's not lined up in our Savannah line. So I'm going to type in pagoda real quick. In my Emily line here, I've got a credenza that I have to make right after that. But again, it's custom sizing. So for whatever reason, they don't want our standard size, which we have several options. They want the custom size. I don't know why. But right behind that, I've got, click here to my vanities. I've got to make, not this one, I've got to make the X line right here. So I've got to make this powder room vanity. I've got a couple of those that I have to make. And everything's just custom sizing. So everyone suddenly wants custom furniture. I also have, come over here to my Athens line. I have this credenza. I've made a couple of those. I don't sell a ton of them, but somebody decided that they want a dresser. I never made a dresser for this line because I just never had the time. But somebody just likes the details so much, they wanted me to convert one of these credenzas into a dresser. So I told them, well, I'll just make you a dresser, right? And I'll make it in the vein of my Emily line of furniture. Which if I click back here to the Emily, this is probably the dresser that I sell the most. So they want an Athens version of this Emily dresser. And again, everything's custom. And that same customer wants the nightstands right here that are going to go with the dresser. So this particular client just paid, I don't know, probably $16,000 to have all these three cabinets made for a bedroom. So people are spending money is what I'm telling you, and they're spending on custom furniture, at least with me. I don't know if that's what everyone else is seeing, but I'm seeing a lot of custom furniture, right? So we're making a lot of really expensive pieces for people, and it's fantastic. Like it's a lot of work, but it's what I like to do. So finally I get to make something that I really enjoy as opposed to constantly making the stuff the repetitive stuff, right, that I don't like. So I'm seeing a lot of that on the custom side. And again, I'm overwhelmed, to be quite honest with you. But I just hired a new cabinet maker, and he doesn't have a lot of experience, but I'm training him, and he's been super helpful just to help me, cut shit out and help me with kind of the day-to-day BS that I have to deal with. So anyway, that's custom furniture. The hardware side has been the goose that lays the golden egg for me all year long, which is wild. So I started, click over here to hardware. I started selling hardware probably three years ago. And hardware has been something that has consistently brought in $3,000 to $5,000 a month without even having to think about it. And while that's not a bunch of money, when you take into the fact that the markup on most of the hardware is anywhere from 200 to 300%, that's money that goes like directly into your pocket. Like I don't have to spend 40 hours making a piece of furniture. I don't have to go buy a bunch of shit, locally, team up with my distributors, have them bring in materials and parts so that I can make the furniture. Like this stuff I ordered in bulk. And yes, it cost a bunch of money up front, but it's already here. I don't have to deal with it. The shipping's easy. It's all done on Shopify, and it makes life super easy for me. So when we'll just start here. So all this hardware, this particular Greek key stuff has been a fantastic seller all year long. And we'll click back to probably the number one is going to be all these the square poles that we have here. We also have the round poles, specifically the brass. These are all number one sellers, right? And this stuff it sells all day long. So a ring like this is we're selling for $25.99. Like this thing probably cost me $3 to have made in India, and then I have to import it and all that kind of stuff. And that's an issue there. But at the end of the day, I probably have $5 to $6 in this thing by the time you factor in marketing, shipping, tariffs, all the importing fees, all that kind of stuff. So the markup is fantastic. And again, a lot of times when I sell my newly made furniture and my custom furniture, customers also want that hardware on the pieces that we're making for them. And a lot of times when we have vintage furniture, which we're also known for, people ask us to put new hardware on it. So again, we get to upsell all of our furniture with our own hardware. So hardware has been amazing. It's been something that, again, has sold really well all year long. And some months, I'll do, 5 to 8,000 in hardware, but it's been very steady, which is nice. So when vintage is down, and furniture in general is down, I'm still selling hardware, which doesn't make any sense to me, because if furniture sales were down, you would think that hardware sales would be down. But people are buying hardware for whatever reason. Maybe they got a bathroom that they have, or they got a kitchen. They want to put the hardware in the kitchen. It's been a fantastic way to kind of pad your pocket every month with predictable income, which has been one of the largest problems for me over the last several years, is having that predictable income. So sales have been super volatile the last 2 years. So anyway, so hardware has been fantastic, and getting into that space is not the easiest thing in the world, but once you get in there, it's pretty awesome. So I recommend to people, if you can figure out how to get into the hardware game, you need to do it. And unfortunately, this is not a tip I'm going to sell with people, because first off, most of you don't speak Hindi or Marathi, which is the language in India. My wife happens to be from India, so it's super easy. But these industries are kind of guarded. And this is one thing I'm not gonna dig into. Maybe one of these years I'll dig into the hardware game. But anyway, I'm holding that one close to the vest. So hardware's been fantastic, and I got nothing but good things to say about that. So anyway, I'll stop there. Okay, the other thing is smalls, right? Lamps, art, tchotchkes, all that kind of stuff. So we sell gobs of that stuff. And truth is that's been a shit show. Let me see if I can get in here. Go to accessories. So the thing about selling smalls is let me back up. So when we got into selling smalls, we got into selling lamps and things like that, we were very intentional about it. So we decided that we were going to go to High Point, which is a trade show held in North Carolina twice a year. And it's a fantastic place to go. If you want to get in the furniture game, you want to get in the flipping game, you want to get into any of the stuff that's interior decorating, you need to go to the show so you can see what the hell people are buying. You can see what's exciting to people. You can see what gets the attention. You can see trends. You can see all this stuff. So it's very important to do that. And we went there, and we hooked up with a couple of companies there, and we just started buying stuff. We spent like, I don't know, maybe 10 grand, and we bought a bunch of lamps. We bought, just different kinds of stuff. We bought, different kinds of shades. We actually bought some of these little tables, and I'm trying to think what else we bought. Yeah, we bought mirrors, this leaf bowl vase. And the truth is you can drop ship this stuff, and a lot of people do that, but there's no money in it, right? Like, you're going to make 10, 15%. Whereas if you just fork out the money, provided you're doing the advertising, you can make 50%. You can make as much as 100% on some of this stuff, because the vendors have floors for everything that you can sell. It's MSRP basically. And so you can't go below, because they don't want to dilute their brand, right? Or they don't want to devalue their brand, right? And the Resplendent Crow would have the same thing. So anyway, we bought a bunch of this shit, and it sold really well. There's no doubt about it. The thing about it is it's super volatile, though. Okay, so again, just because you have a product and you put it on your website and you sell it does not mean it's going to sell. You have to market the crap out of it, and it takes a while for that marketing to get to people's eyeballs, so you're going to plan on spending, 3 to 6 months marketing stuff before it kind of catches on. And it's very volatile. You have no idea why something sells, when it's going to sell. But my mindset behind why this stuff sells, I should say my wife's mindset, I have no idea. I would never buy this stuff. But what she thinks is that you have a lot of people that want to they just want to buy, right? Like they see something and they'll be in our store, right? And say they're looking at, like, we'll use this picture as an example, okay? They're looking at this particular buffet, right? And this buffet might be $3,000 and they don't have the money right now, or they don't want to spend it, or they're not sure where they can put it. But when they're looking around on our website, right, they see that, we have this mirror and they be like, oh, I kind of like that mirror. That's pretty cool, or, oh, I like this vase, and I do have a spot for this vase, right? So they'll spend $475 on a vase with the intention of coming back and buying this buffet at a later date, right? So they just want to buy something, and people will buy it. And again, some of us are thinking, yeah, $475 for a vase, not on my life, but there's all kinds of people in this world, and our client base for this is $20 to them, right? And this is something that people have to understand. Like, that's okay. You want these kind of people, and I want these kind of people. These people allow me to do what it is that I do, and I thank God every day that there are people out there that will spend $475 on a vase, right? So that's what I think is going on with smalls. It's just people just want to buy stuff. And when they come to, as more and more people come to the Resplendent Crow, they're not just looking for furniture. They're not just looking for big, chunky, beautiful brass hardware. They're starting to look for the beautiful colors of other things like lamps and tchotchkes and vases and jars and all kinds of these other things. So we're starting to offer some more of these things as the money side allows, right? So one of the other things we did is, you'll notice that some of these lamps are kind of goofy in color. They're very bright. This would be your traditional shade here, right? Whereas we have these colorful shades, right? Now, what's going on here is this is all Schumacher wallpaper, okay, or Schumacher fabric. This stuff's stupid expensive. It's like, I don't know, $600 or $700 a roll, right? So what we're doing is we're taking these kind of generic shades that come with lamps, and we're offering to cover these for customers. And people love this stuff because it's exclusive, right? I've talked in older videos about offering products that nobody else is offering, okay? Offering stuff to your clients that nobody else can give them, right? Like, there aren't a lot of people out there covering shades, right? Because it's a pain in the ass. Nobody wants to deal with it. They don't have the space. They don't like the smell. Whatever the reason is, we don't do that. We are happy to do this, right? And we're able to sell this stuff for a ton of money, and people really like it. And while this is not a moneymaker yet, give it a year or two, and the Resplendent Crow could be the place where you're getting all of your high-end exclusive shades, right? And the thing about, I don't know what your business is or what your interests are, but like, one of my things I love is comic books. I'm gonna lose people here, but for me, if there was a lampshade that was covered in, cool comic book paper, like, that might interest me, but if you're someone that's into these beautiful fabrics and loves really expensive linens and things like that, like, this is really going to appeal to somebody. So anyway, I think this stuff's really interesting. Same thing here. This is this Tebow paper. And again, we do all this stuff, and it's been a cool way to make money, and it does take, there's not a huge learning curve, right? Which is really important. I don't have to go through a bunch of crap to make this thing happen every time I make a sale. It's fairly easy to do. We just have kind of a general setup for it, and it works really well. So anyway, the small side is something we're trying to grow. It's very difficult to grow smalls because it's very competitive, right? The truth is that if we can buy something when we've got a high point, anybody else can buy it too, right? As long as you set up an account, you have a minimum of like $1,500 you have to buy, and anybody can do it, but it's not as exclusive as it's not as exclusive as it needs to be if you're going to sell a really high-end product, right? Anybody can sell this lamp, right? Not anybody can sell the shade, right? Which is why we can get $675 for a lamp, right? Which is wild if you ask me. But it's a great business. It takes a long time to build it up. But anyway, so smalls are moving, which is good. So that's basically the 5 revenue streams that we're working on right now within the Resplendent Crow. And I started off this conversation talking about sales and all that kind of stuff, and I think I've covered what I'm seeing in the furniture space right now at the Resplendent Crow, where we're seeing sales within the individual revenue streams that we have. And there's other revenue streams that aren't making hardly any money, but we're going to continue to grow those. And I'll talk about more of those in future videos. So anyway, I hope this video is cool for people. I hope you just like getting the information, seeing what's going on in the industry. And I did a video earlier about Resplendent Hardware. Restoration Hardware and what they're seeing for 2025. They're pretty bullish on the economy. So hopefully that will continue for all of us. And I hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you in the next video.